Hi guys, we're the Jacuzzi Girls. My name is Janya.
I'm Asel.
And welcome to our show.
So today, as you saw in the schedule, we're going to have a very exciting episode reviewing a book called Why Men Love Bitches by Sherry Argov. This is a semi-relationship episode, I guess, because this is a relationship manual, I guess, right? Or just like how to, date, how to conduct yourself, what females in successful relationships do, what they don't do. Would you agree, Janya?
Yeah, well, she basically, I would say it's like a relationship guide for women in particular.
It's like a relationship guide, I think, also especially if you're single. Because I think
I was about to say,
like,
I think it's more for when you're dating or maybe in the earlier stages of dating rather than when you're already in a marriage. But like, even though she does talk about marriage concepts, there's a second book that she wrote actually about marriage.
Oh, really?
And, yeah. It's like, I think it's called like a marriage edition because when I was buying this one on Kindle, I saw it. And I guess that's where she talks about how women should navigate their like relationship struggles in marriage. But I think for this one, she talks more about general dating scenario or being with a partner.
How to lay like a good foundation, I feel like, Because I think something she stresses. Yeah. Something she stresses is like how important it is the way you start a relationship. And I 100% agree.
Yes. I also agree with that. But the thing is that I actually realized this maybe when I was around 23, that however, like, you start the relationship, is that how it will go in the future, because you cannot, but it makes sense kind of, like, you cannot expect somebody to treat you a certain way and then all of a sudden being like, no, you have to treat me another way, if you don't set it off straight from the beginning. Because then it gets harder for the person to change, obviously, because, and look, even for you to change because you're used to the dynamic that you have going.
In attraction principle number 6, Sherry says, it is your attitude about yourself that a man will adopt. And it's true. If you think you're a piece of shit, then, and you're dating somebody...
He'll treat you like one.
100%, maybe even worse, The
thing is that nobody really thinks they're a piece of shit, really. Like, I think people have their ups and downs of the way they feel about themselves. But, I think that if you have more insecurities than not, then maybe like tune out those insecurities.
I think that it's like, when you don't feel like you're an amazing person on your own. I think that's kind of like the whole message of the book. You should be, and I think we get told this like so many times, like you should have a full life, you should be like independent, you should, be somebody that first of all is happy on her own, etc. But the cool thing about this book, and I think the reason why it's so easy to read and so fun to read, is that the way Sherry writes, it's like you're having a conversation with your girlfriend. The chapters are really short. She brings in a lot of personal anecdotes. It's not like, some psychologist sitting at Harvard who specializes in relationship therapy, like, writing a thesis. This is literally a woman just being like, listen, like, this is how it is, and you can, like, not listen to me, but then this is what's going to happen. And I think I honestly have this position that every single woman, or actually every single person who is in their, I would say 18 to 30, they should read this book twice. I think you should read this book when you're just starting dating, and then you should read this book a few years later because your perception will change of it drastically. My mom gave this book to me when I was like 18, and I read it, and I was like, yeah, that was a funny book, whatever. And I wasn't dating yet because I'm like, I don't know, a late bloomer. But now I'm newly single. I haven't been single in like 5 years, so obviously the dating landscape has changed a lot. And I randomly saw this book and I was like, oh, I'll reread it. And I'm so glad I did because it's like I was reading a whole new book. And like I just understood it finally because I've had experience now and I know what she's talking about.
So, I was talking to Asela being like, I wish I read this book when I just started dating guys. And I'm also a late bloomer, same as Asel. I only started dating around like going on dates when I was 21, probably.
Yeah.
It wasn't like for any particular reason other than I think was just like emotionally ready at that time to start dating around. But I wish I knew about this book earlier on so that I could have like learned some of the stuff that she was talking about and not be too nice maybe. However, Acela was like, listen, I read it when I was 19 and it still like didn't stick with me. So maybe it didn't resonate with you as much because you didn't understand what she was really talking about. So maybe it's like a good thing we read it now at least.
No, that's what I'm saying. I think you should read it twice and like space it out. I swear, when you read it the second time, completely new experience. Like, it's insane. But yeah, Jania texted me that the other day, and I was like, nah, I don't think you'd get it. Like, I'm sure, I know you're a very intelligent person, but I think if you read it at 21, like, you wouldn't understand. You would be like, oh, what a nice book, haha, that was funny. But, like, you know, you have to really live some of this shit to be like...
I have a feeling I would be like this. I'd be like, actually, like, I disagree. You know, everybody has an opinion, and every book is obviously opinionated. All information we consume is somebody's opinion, actually. Even if a person is trying to be accurate to the 10th degree with facts and stuff, it's still, like, from their perspective. And that's why I think I'll, like, spew some jargon like that and be like, everybody's different, hence different things work for different people. But we are here to tell you that a lot of the things that she says is very true to the general population.
Even if you think this book is like old-fashioned and, you know, like I think when I was younger and I read it, I think what I remember is I was like, oh, what a fun book, but it's like for the older generation, like it's a bit old-fashioned. You know, that's not how my generation operates. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so that's the thing. I think actually We Met at Acme had a podcast with her, and let's see actually. Well, yeah, she had a podcast with her, and I think she was like talking like, oh, but like, don't you think? Yeah, she does.
Nice. Yeah. I haven't read it.
She has Sherry. She has Sherry. Yeah, I heard it because I've been following her for a hot second. She posted it last year in August, and she was talking about how like there are some concepts that she agrees with and some that she thinks are outdated. And I thought it was an interesting conversation with her. But that was before I read the book, obviously.
I think I agree with like 99% of what she says. But when I was younger, I remember like I think one of the things she says is a guy should always, no matter what, pay for the first few dates, especially the first date. Like, no exception, he should. I think when I was younger and I was, I guess, the nice girl, I was like, oh, but like, that's, you know, just such a different time. I don't mind splitting the bill. I'm a modern woman. Like, I'm just a chill girl. I'm a nice girl. Like, you know.
Wait, but don't you think, like, we were just navigating dating. Like, we didn't, like, honestly, nobody teaches you how to date. So when you just start dating, like, okay, wait, continue or you finish your thought, and then I want to go on a tangent.
I was going to say, and now, because obviously I'm a little bit older, wiser, hopefully,
cooler,
I'm like cooler, prettier, just kind of blow up. Just the best, you know. No,
people don't like you don't come around often. That's what I'll say.
Yeah, I think that now I'm like, if absolutely not. Like a guy has to, no matter how old fashioned it is, a guy has to pay for the first date, even if, you know, I don't know, if he doesn't have a lot of money or money is an issue, that's fine, because he's in control. He can choose the place. Like, you can go to the park and buy some cheap wine and, you know, like, he can organize that. That will not cost a lot of money. The whole thing is that, I think it's what Sherry said. What did she say? If you're his dream girl, he will not dream of letting you pay. But if he lets you pay, then it's fine. You're just not his dream girl. And don't you want to be someone's dream girl?
Yeah.
Wait, can I say my story that happened to me? Should I say it?
Yeah, of course.
So last week... So I'm glad I read this book, obviously, because as I said, I haven't dated in a while. So last week I went on a date with this guy. He was really nice. I didn't really like him that much because, I mean, obviously I met him on an app. And so we agreed to meet for a drink, and I met him, and the conversation was really nice. He was a very cool guy, very respectful. And so I kind of started to entertain the possibility of a second date with him. But then when the check came, and I very, like, this is what I'm going to say, guys. Because Janya even said to me that day, be very chill with offering to split the check. Like, almost like, don't just be like, oh, just as a courtesy. Which is what I did. And then when he said, yeah, sure, I was shocked. So I obviously had to pull my wallet out. And I was like, oh my God. But basically, if I had any inkling of maybe going on a second date, when he split the bill with me, it killed it. And I was like, absolutely not. Like, he was a very nice guy, but clearly he didn't like me enough to get the bill. And it was not a huge bill. It, like, honestly, like, we had one drink, you know? So, yeah, basically, I was just like, sorry, but bye. And then he texted me.
Moral of the story. Interesting. Moral of the story, if you're a guy, always pay. If you're a girl and the guy does not pay in the first date, at least
he's a friend.
Bye. Yeah, he's a friend. Like, it's
At
fine.
best,
I have a lot of
at
friends.
best.
I don't need more friends. Sorry.
No, but you know what I told him when he texted me? He was like, hey, do you want to go out again?
What did you say?
I was really nice. And actually, someone was like, maybe you should just tell him that it bothered you he didn't pay. And I was like, they were like, because, you know, it's like cultural values, maybe it's different, whatever. And I was like, no, it's not my job to teach him. Like, what? So I just told him, hey. Like,
and also, it's
it was
weird.
really,
like, you only went on one date, you know?
It's weird, exactly.
Yeah.
So I was like, hey, it was really nice to meet you. You know, I honestly got a friendly vibe more than a romantic one for us, but I think you were a very nice guy, so if you want to keep in touch as friends, I'm totally up for that. And he was nice about it. He was like, yeah, that makes sense. Let's keep in touch. Yeah. That was
so
it.
you know how they say, like, oh, maybe it's cultural, like where the guy pays for the date versus we split the bills and we split all of our finances. Mm-hmm. I actually disagree with that, as does Sherry Argov as well. Because at the end of the day, it's like in a man's nature to provide and to support his family. Hence, I do believe, like as she does as well, that a woman has to have her own thing going on. And if she wants to, she can treat the guy, let's say, later on in their relationship, or she can split it some stuff later on in their relationship. But especially in the beginning, I don't think it's like a culture thing at that point. It's more like who invited who. That's probably the one who should be paying, and usually it's the guy. But as I was saying, like just like being young and like naive, nobody teaches you how to date. So I would just go out there with like an open, nice heart,
with an open wallet.
Yeah, literally, with my wallet in hand. But since, I think maybe what also changed us is because we went to uni in America. Maybe if you went to uni somewhere like in Europe where it's more traditional, or like wherever else in the world. But since we went to uni in America, I think it was like, do you know like American boys and stuff, and just they're not just American, they're international as well, but I mean like the American university kind of mindset where the girls go to the fraternity and like it's like people are just sleeping with each other left, right, and center. There's no really like none of those rules that were from this book implemented in college either. So I think that's what kind of impacted our mindset to being like, oh, like in the beginning, if we can split, you know, like it's not a big deal. But in reality, it is. One time I went on a date, I also told this fella about this when I was like 22, with this older guy. He was a very nice guy actually, but we went on this date, and then a guy offered to split, and he's like, no, it's fine, I have it. And I'm like, no, let us split. And
because
I split
you ate,
the bill
right?
with him. Yeah, I ate, I drank, whatever. It was a nice date. And then onwards, he's like, I want to show you this place, whatever. We went to this like Rose Bar, I'm sure you know of it, in New York. Yeah. So whatever, we went there, and it was really nice. There was like jazz music playing. But the point is that he was standing there, and he's like, you know, you're so beautiful. Why do you not let men pay for you? He's like, I just didn't know how you were feeling about it. And I told him, like, actually, usually the man does pay for the first date. But I just didn't like know, like I didn't want to like let you pay if like you like if it was more like split the date. And he was saying how like, no, you're in New York, like you have to let men pay for you. If anything, take advantage of the opportunity. And I'm like, thanks for that, but like so random. Point is that yes, the man should always pay for the first date.
First few, or like what are your thoughts? First, like how many dates do you think?
Okay, well, I'm dating my guy now. Well, I guess you can say I'm dating my guy now for a hot second, and so far he has paid for every single thing whenever we're together.
But that's because you're in Kazakhstan. That is like that.
Maybe it is a cultural thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. But obviously it doesn't mean that like I don't mind like every now and then paying for the bill or like buying him a present, whatever. That's not a big deal to me. But if for him he likes paying for me, so maybe that in this case it's like maybe it might be a cultural thing. I don't know, because he says he's like, I actually get a bit uncomfortable when you pay for me.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Well, for me, I don't know. This is like a completely just off the top of my head, but my intuition is telling me this. I will say that the first 4 dates, the guy has to pay. Like, has to.
Why 4? Why not 3 or 5?
I don't know. I just really like that, because I don't know, in my head I replayed like just the amount of dates that I would like want to go on before I would be like, okay, like it's actually like, you know what, like I don't know. I think 4. I don't know why. Like, don't ask me. It's an intuitive thing. Let's just go with my female intuition is telling me. Like, Sherry is speaking to my soul, and she told me this number.
I can see that. But to be honest, I really wouldn't mind splitting stuff with my boyfriend, like, later on or in general. But he just doesn't like it that way, which I'm like, okay, I'm fine with that. Like, if you want to keep paying, please be my guest.
But I think a really important thing... Go ahead.
Yeah. No, so I think even for me going forwards in the future, like I definitely want to have my own money, and I definitely, let's say if I even like buy him a birthday present.
Yeah.
So in my family, my mom is a housewife. Like she worked at some point, but now she's like not working. So even if she buys my dad a present, it's from his own wallet. But like I guess for me, it's like I want to be able to at least do that for my man. Like, oh, buy him a present here and there with my own money, or like treat us to a vacation later on in life.
Well, Sherry says that it's super important for you to just contribute something meaningful so that you're not like totally dependent on him. And being a housewife, being a mom is a huge job. Like, it's a lot of work. So that counts. You know?
Yeah. Okay, I actually want to... should we start this podcast and make it a bit more structured? Asela and I have highlighted some parts in the book and made notes. So this book actually has, I think, around 100 principles that she brings into play in every single chapter. And Asela and I highlighted our top 3 principles that we liked and resonated with. And then what... Okay, so I highlighted this. So the book Why Men Love Bitches... The term bitches can be misleading, because when you think of a bitch, you might think of somebody abrasive or aggressive or like very, can be like a rude, whatever. No, the term bitch in this sense is this. So she actually made a definition. A bitch is a noun, and it's a woman who won't bang her head against the wall, obsessing over someone else's opinion, be it a man or anyone else in her life. She understands that if someone does not approve of her, it's just one person's opinion, therefore it's of no real importance. She doesn't try to live up to anybody else's standards, only her own. Because of this, she relates to a man very differently. So she puts herself first and her own values first before anybody else's, including a man's. That's what a bitch is.
And you should be a bitch.
Yeah, and also a bitch carries herself differently. So she talks about, the author, how we should still be dressing feminine, and not dressing, I mean, it's your choice how you want to dress, frankly, but a bitch can be very feminine, like feminine style, look like a prettiest girl on the outside, but on the inside, she thinks like a man.
She won't
Like-
let anybody disrespect her.
Yeah, and people feel that. Like, it's like an energy of, like, dignity.
And what she says you shouldn't be is the nice girl, which, as Johnny and I said, I think a lot of times when you're younger, you're weirdly conditioned to be. And I think that's what you should absolutely avoid. I think, you know what, Johnny, I think nice girl in our generation is the chill girl. That's how I would describe it. But I'm going to read the description of the nice girl from the book. Everyone has known a nice girl. She is the woman who will overcompensate, giving everything to a man she barely knows without him having to invest much in the relationship. She's the woman who gives blindly because she wants so much for her attentions to be reciprocated. She's the woman who goes along with what she thinks her man will like or want because she wants to keep the relationship at all costs. Every woman at some point has been there. I think in our generation, as I said, that's the chill girl. It's the girl that it's like goes with the flow, doesn't start drama. It's like kind of like whatever works.
Oh, I'm down to hang out in your apartment, you know, like that kind of vibe.
Yeah, and I think that's like awful. Like, I think you should not be a bitch. Don't be a chill girl. Don't be a nice girl. Because also, like, as we all know, no one in reality is a chill or a nice girl. You know what I'm saying?
That is true.
Like, stop trying to think that being chill is cool. It's not. I am fucking OCD as fuck. I am not chill. Like, I have zero chill. My paranoias about certain weird topics can, can basically blow off Richter's scale. But that's me. You know what I'm saying? And I think when I was younger, I definitely tried to be chill and to go with the flow. But now as I got older, I was like, I fucking hate going with the flow. I like having a plan. I like things to be organized. And something Sherry says that I really have implemented in my life, I have a strict rule. So obviously the guy has to pay on the first date. And secondly, he has to confirm a date with me 2 days in advance. He has to pick the location, the time. And yeah, he needs to let me know in advance because I need to make plans. I need to make a schedule.
So I agree with the chill girl factor, but I think the rules are the same where it's like you're just being too nice. What I noticed actually is this more. I think what you should not do as a woman is pity a man or make a lot of excuses for a man, because I think that's actually bad for their masculinity and long-term success in the future. It does not mean that you shouldn't be nice or supportive or understanding, but I do agree that, let's say, maybe in the past when I was younger, I'd be like, yeah, we can just hang out in your apartment, that's fine, even though maybe that was I would have liked more, I would have liked to go on a nice date, etc. Now I have no issue being I want to go on a date.
On a hot air balloon.
Plan something nice. Literally, plan something nice. I need to do ABC, and I mean, I love it. Frankly,
and
it
guys
makes
love
me
it
happy
too,
and-
actually.
Yeah.
Because I think, as Sherry says, you let him be a man. He's taking control, even though you're really in control.
Yeah, and in general, I love control, guys. Estella knows this too, and Estella also likes control. We're type A people. Kind of, it's interesting because we have a family friend group, and everybody's a type A girl, low key, in that group. But you should let yourself receive and accept. What I will say is that what this guy I'm dating now was good is that I think he lets me relax because I know that I can trust the way his mind works, if that makes sense.
He's a man.
Yeah, but let's say if I didn't trust for him to think fast or know how stuff is done, then I would be no, let me do it myself instead. Mm-hmm. But because from the get-go, I kind of trusted his the way he was thinking. I was no, organize a trip then, do everything, because I knew that he wouldn't do something that's not nice for me, you know, and for himself as well, obviously.
Yeah, that's actually, I think, the biggest lesson I think that I learned personally, and it's one of the principles I highlighted from Sherry. I'm going to read it. So it's Principle 38, and it's...
Wait, so should we start? Should we just start going off on our 3 principles and discussing each one's?
Sure, but yeah, and then we can discuss why they're important.
Yeah, just to provide more structure to this.
Okay, so
yeah,
but this relates to what you're saying. My principle. That's why I'm bringing it up. So it's Principle 38. When a woman acts as though she's capable of everything, she gets stuck doing everything.
Yeah, that principle is like, damn.
It's really it's so true. Like, I think that you're obviously not helpless. Like, you know how to do stuff, but I think if you can just let go at the beginning and really let the guy do most of the work, it's great. Because, as Sherry says in the book, she's like, if you're starting out by cooking him like elaborate 5-course dinners, then that's kind of the vibe you're setting for the rest of the relationship. And like, if normally in your life you don't really even cook at all, like, that's a huge red flag. Like, you really just need to, like, obviously.
You need to, basically what she talks about, that you need to ease into it. Let's say a girl should not be giving more than what she's receiving. Yeah. Which I completely agree with, but it kind of happens naturally as well. Over time, obviously the girl will end up giving stuff and like cooking a meal, whatever, taking care of her man. But it has to be that he shows that he's willing to give more. And only in that case, don't do it in advance so that after a while the man will just take it for granted.
Yeah, like, what did he do to deserve a 5-course meal? Which I think we see in a lot
of Kazakh households. Yeah, exactly. Honestly, but you know what's funny is that I really think that, how I told you I wish I read this book earlier, etc.
Yeah.
But now looking back on it, I actually think that a lot of my girlfriends, like their first relationship or like their first experiences, they were also too nice and doing too much until they were like, F no, I'm the queen and this is my rules.
But do you
Maybe
think
that's why girls
also...
should get married later, to get that lesson.
But I think something
Do
I
think
was
that it's
wondering,
also what?
Do you think that it's also very, very prevalent for Kazakh girls who are quite westernized? Because I was just thinking about it, and I was like, those girls who demand gifts from their boyfriend, like elaborate dates, all that shit, and I used to judge them, and I would be like, oh my god, that's so, like, not, I don't know, modern of her and whatever. But now I'm like, maybe they took it to the extreme, but maybe they were also onto something.
I'm sorry. Okay, so actually talking about principles, can I tell you my next one?
Okay. Well, you didn't answer my question, but okay.
Sorry, no, I'm going to answer it now because
okay, go.
From what you said. Yeah, that's why I'm bringing it up. Oh, where is it? Okay, well, basically, maybe it wasn't a principle, but I highlighted it. So, in Japan, there's an interesting motto. A smart eagle does not show her claws. American women perceive Japanese women as submissive because they bow to men and walk behind them in the streets. However, Japanese men typically bring their paychecks home and give them to their wives. The wife controls the purse strings in the Japanese home and decides how the money is spent. Hence, so men control the world, but women control the men. And I actually realized this maybe a few years ago, that it's so interesting because like a lot of girls, because we know a lot of girls who lived abroad and who are still probably living abroad who are Kazakh, and who might shit on the concept of Kazakh relationships or Kazakh men and the way women are being treated.
Right.
But I think that in our social circles, all the women are sat up nice and dandy on their nice pillows, controlling everything from the background and living their best lives, actually. Like, they're honestly, it's like Ali Wong said, like, who made the concept of lean in? I want to lean out and relax. Imagine being so smart that you're making somebody else work for you and, like, support you. So I really think that they're actually onto something more than not. Like, all of these Kazakh women have brains unlike others, where they're living a great life, they're enjoying themselves, like they have a kid, and their husband completely supports them without being like, why are you not doing like anything, etc., or like at homes. I'm sure there's conflicts between. There's no relationship is perfect, but the point is that I actually think that this concept of, remember how I said like, oh, pitying men or being like doing a lot for them, etc. Maybe it's better for women actually to pull back and step into their feminine energy, because feminine energy is less about doing and more about flowing.
Yeah. I think I agree, and I think that's something I'm actually trying to learn, because I think maybe as it's like a type A, but also oldest child syndrome. Like, I think I have a lot of masculine energy in me, and I'm very like, I'll do it myself, or like, let me do it, you know, or like, I'm very like not inviting and like feminine. I'm very like abrasive and masculine sometimes. But I think being feminine is important.
Do you think it's because, like, where do you think it stems from? Like, you don't want to be indebted to him, or like you feel like you can do it better? Like, where does it come from?
I think for me, it's like being the oldest. I think it's also being, you know, like, you know, the syndrome of the A student, like, perfectionism. I have to do myself, otherwise it won't be perfect. No one can do it better than me. And I think that also maybe just being also a late bloomer, because once like I started dating, I was like, oh my god, like men think I'm pretty, or like guys think I'm cool, you know? It was like a very like, it was a rush. And now it's obviously I'm a bit like calmer. And I'm like, I'm actually God's gift to earth, and these men should be grateful if I even talk to them. But I think that in the beginning, I think it's hard for me, I think, and it's something I just have to like I don't know, just like be nicer and be like more inviting and like let things just flow, and but not go with the flow. There's a difference.
So I think maybe for me it was more like I want to control or know what's happening. Maybe I still do it slightly, just because I'm a Taurus ass and I need to know that the conditions will be nice wherever we're going.
Yeah.
That's why I want like a kind of like, you can organize everything, but just show me where we're going or how it will look like, so I can prepare myself mentally.
Yeah. And tell me like in advance.
Otherwise,
Tell me in advance.
Saying in advance, but also I have a friend.
She died.
And she basically she had this nice wedding in Mexico, and I was like, oh my god, that's so fun, whatever. But she was like, I was like, oh, like, how did you like think of like this disco ball on the ceiling, or like she had like a bunch of disco balls, really cool. But she was saying how she just gave all the power over to her sister and her mom, and she basically came to the wedding as a guest, kind of, just to enjoy the party. And I was like, wait, but weren't you like freaking out? Like, don't you want your wedding to be a certain way, etc.? And she was like, no, it's fine. Like, whatever it was going to be good. And I just wanted to like let go of that control and just let them take care of it, because I didn't want to stress over it unnecessarily. And I'm like, damn, look at you. I'm proud of you, you know? Like, that's how it should be.
That's a progressed human. Like, I
literally,
don't know if
like
I'm there
being
yet.
delicate control and having fun either way. Even let's say you might not like the flower arrangement on the table, or you might not like the decor, or you might not like the little gifts. But she was like, you know, like, I just came just to have fun. It's my wedding. I'm gonna enjoy myself.
That is honestly amazing. Cool. I aspire to that, but I don't know if I can do that. That's like really, really.
Yeah, no, me neither.
Wow. I think I would, like, honestly, the problem is I think that if the flowers were, like, wrong or something, I think I'm gonna cry and be like, this wedding is ruined.
I just need to... So I think I can do that. Let's say, like, Ziria and Mom are trying to do it, or Ajana, whoever, like, I think I could give them that control, as long as they confirm the final version with me, or they give me like options. Let's say they're like, oh, do you want this color scheme or that color scheme? Do you want this flower or that flower? And then I would, but in terms of like organizing and doing everything, I can definitely give them, or like coming up with ideas. I don't mind giving control like that to them.
So like
just so I know what to expect, by the way.
So like you would take over the macro, like you would approve the macro details, but they would take over the micro details.
Exactly.
Interesting.
And they would take over the organization concept as well. Well,
interesting.
Anyways, on that tangent, I actually, it's because, but I think, don't you think in general, the reason why it's such a big trend of female energy and coming into like your female energy flow, and especially in our USSR countries, is that generally, even like we as women now have maybe more masculine energy because we were so used to doing. We're so used to being on the go, doing things, etc., like organizing, I don't know, getting to unis, like work, money, everything. And that's actually, money especially, and working 24/7 is more of a masculine energy role. Hence, it does feel nice when you're with your man and you don't have to be in the masculine. Because for me, let's say I want to keep working, obviously, but it's nice to be with a man who does not make me feel like I need to still be in a masculine energy role, and where can I just relax and let my female energy flow.
Right. I think I agree with you. I think about the money part, because I think at least for me, I think that to be successful, to be taken seriously, you need to display masculine qualities.
Yeah.
And I think the problem is, because we've been doing it for so long, that women started to kind of morph their personal and work life so that you just become very masculine in every area of your life.
Exactly. So I actually notice it even in myself. When I am working too much or like getting really into my work, it's very hard for me to snap out of my masculine energy of like doing everything. And I have to like, let's say I see my guy and I have to like relax myself and be like, okay, now you can let go, you can relax, you know, you don't have to be in this like state of being like, oh, what am I doing? Where am I going? Like, how is it happening, etc. Like, leave that for your work time.
Yeah. Well, hopefully I will find that too someday soon. But I think that I'm just like, I think just with having this book, I'm just reminded of that, you know, how like certain things are so important, like being feminine, having self-respect, not being afraid to stand your ground. And that doesn't mean to be confrontational. It just means you have your principles and you're sticking by them no matter what. And I think something she says that I think is so crucial is, she says the best trait is dignity. And I think that is just a good reminder when you're dating. Or maybe in life.
Also, I think that the reason why we get kind of maybe warped in the beginning into being nice girls or being too nice when dating is because, at least in Kazakh, I think in a lot of Kazakh culture families, the girls are told to be like comfortable, like obedient, like not to have two crazy personalities, because who would marry you with your crazy personality? When in reality, that's the opposite. If anything, guys worship girls who have a personality and who have a character. They're like all the couples that I've met, it's usually like the ones that where the girls are too nice and timid, the man ends up being an abuser, and the ones where the girl has a character and is like doing her own thing, and like the man is just like looking at her with like stars in his eyes, you know, like heart shape.
Yeah. So I was actually going to tell you.
Yeah, it's because yeah.
You know how she says there's like a principle? I didn't highlight that one, but she says that like you don't have to be like the prettiest one, but as long as you're confident and sure of yourself, you are the prize, and you can make any man believe in it. And that's something I was kind of debating, because I was like, I know so many girls who are really, really pretty, but are really insecure and really, I don't know, there's like they have self-esteem issues. I'm sure you know them as well.
Honestly, sometimes the prettier the girl is, the more insecure she is. Like, straight up. Like, some girls, I think they're perfect. And I look at them and I'm like, you're perfection. And then they're like, I have this, I have that, I have this. I'm like, what are you talking about? Crazy, like, lunatic, actually. Anyways, continue. Yeah, so pretty girls. And I think something I thought of, I was like, these girls actually always have someone they're dating, because I think sometimes men are very simple and they do go for the looks. But those are the types of men you probably want to stay away from. I agree.
Like, that's not...
sometimes...
That's not it.
And also, but on that note, actually, I would say that also this book relates to like adequate men. And there are some men who are just crazy naturally. So even if you apply all the principles in the world, they will still be crazy. And in that moment, run.
But if you apply these principles, a crazy man actually will not even dare approach you, probably.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Yeah, they wouldn't, because they'd be like, damn, she has too much self-respect. I know I cannot manipulate her.
That's not their thing. They're not attracted to it.
Yeah, she will call me out on my BS right away.
One of the principles that I really want to highlight is, I think, the one about having your own life and sticking to your own interests, hobbies, and how important it is to never give that up. Attraction principle number 43. If you allow your rhythm to be interrupted, you'll create a void. Then to replace what you give up, you'll start to expect and need more from your partner. So Sherry says that this is so important, and no matter how much you like somebody, don't let them become your whole life. Don't let them take you away from your friends, your hobbies, your work. You should be a complete dependent person, independent of the man or the relationship. And that will actually make him more attracted to you. Like, you know how she had that anecdote about this really cool hot guy who wanted to take his girlfriend on a cruise, and she was like, no, I can't go on the cruise because I have a Tupperware party. And he was like, what the fuck? You're not going on the cruise because of a Tupperware party? And he ended up going on the cruise by himself, and he returned just after a day because he was so curious about what this woman who was throwing a Tupperware party is doing, and he ended up coming to her party. So, there you go.
I was shocked that it was actually an actual Tupperware party with, like, ladies discussing Tupperware, that she gave up, like, a cruise to the Bahamas just to go.
But he was obsessed with her.
I agree with that, actually. Yeah, I agree. Never give up your plans, and always make sure to still have your friends, things you like to do, etc. Like, there is time for everything, actually, in this life. Don't allocate too much time in the man, because it is easy, especially when you're in love, to get kind of like warped into each other. But I do think that maybe with age, women stop doing that naturally. Like, I don't know.
Well, when I was younger,
I think maybe it's also different.
When I was younger, I definitely made the mistake.
Don't like when. Sorry.
I said when I was younger.
I mean, it's called like boyfriend sickness, as Ismi Tinks calls it. When a girl falls in love and then her boyfriend is like becomes her entire life.
And you need to have that experience, I think, because you need to kind of go through it, have those crazy emotions, then be like, wait, what the fuck was I thinking? And then just never do it again. It's important.
Yeah.
So wait, something.
I guess
also
I agree.
I
just obviously, ideally, I wish none of us had to go through any of that. But guess what? That's not how life works. And that's just annoying.
I mean, to be fair, I think that it is, like, when you look back on it, I think you do think that was crazy, he was crazy, I was crazy, but you're also like, that was a funny experience. Like, that was really, like, now I can look back and I didn't laugh. Maybe back then I didn't, but now I'm just laughing about it.
Yeah. Pain. Today I was listening to a podcast with Ray Dalio, this like one of the biggest like, hedge fund managers. Like, yeah, he was saying pain plus reflection is the best life lesson. Hence, this is for the best. Even though
I thought you were going to say Ray Dalio was giving out dating advice, and I was like, what?
No, he was talking about business, but I think it just relates to any aspect in life, frankly. Like, you have to reflect. If you don't reflect, actually, you will end up repeating the same mistake. And what is the definition of a psychopath? A psycho is somebody who repeats the same thing and expects different results.
Yeah.
Hence, reflect. Okay. I want to talk about one of my principles, actually. That
Go
I
for
liked. Okay. If a man has to wait, this attraction principle number 21. If a man has to wait before he sleeps with a woman, he'll not only perceive her as more beautiful, he'll also take time to appreciate who she is. Sex and the spark are not the one and the same. So, I actually agree with that. I think that the woman should not sleep with a man too early on. And that doesn't mean that obviously, like, there's so many women who are going to be like, but I have my physical needs and I want to have sex and this, etc. Okay, if you have that, then just maybe do it with somebody who you don't see like as a long-term potential with, and just don't tell anybody about it. But if there is a guy that you're seeing and you are liking him, you will get to the step naturally where you're like, oh, I want to do this with him, but you have to let it flow. A. B, I actually don't think there's anything bad about taking things slow and letting him wait, and letting yourself wait too, actually, because like build anticipation towards it. And basically Sherry talks about how that makes him respect you more. Like, she brings up the concept of a toy. Let's say if a kid gets a toy from his parents, just out of the blue, the kid might be happy about it for a couple of days, play with it, and just forget about it. Versus if the kid has to save up money for a few months and buys this toy and it's like a prized possession, he'll treasure it much more on his drawers than the toy that was just given to him for free, basically. And that's the same concept with human nature in general. Mm-hmm. Usually, if stuff comes a bit harder to you or you have to pay more for it, etc., you view it as a higher value piece versus something that you get for free.
But I want to know your thoughts. This goes against Tinks's box theory. Because you know how she says, even if you sleep with a guy on the first date, like, he knows from the very start if he wants to date you or if he just wants to hook up with you. So I can't reconcile those two in my mind.
Okay. But what she talks about is that in all of these examples that she was even bringing up in the book, the girl was dating the guy. It wasn't about locking the guy in, but the girl was dating the guy, but usually the girl was unsatisfied with how the guy was treating her in their relationship. So yeah, potentially the box theory is true, but maybe once they start dating, whatever, like the man will get used to a certain kind of standard from the beginning unless he's a true gem.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I guess, you know what the thing is, with box theory, you don't really know what the outcome will be because you don't know what is in the guy's mind. Whereas with Sherry's principles, you kind of have more control and certainty because you're kind of driving this. And you're kind of testing the guy.
Yeah, I guess with the box... So, for guys...
Like, you take a gamble with the box theory. I don't know if he
ever brought it up in other podcasts. Yeah. I think... Okay. For people who don't know what the box theory is, it's this theory created by this blogger, Tanks. We talked about her before as well, where she talks about how when a guy meets you, you usually fall into one of three boxes. A, he wants to date you. B, he wants to sleep with you and just like hook up with you and not date you. And C, he wants nothing to do with you. Hence, her theory is that, let's say, even if you sleep on the first date and you throw up on his shoes, whatever it may be, if he wanted to date you from the moment he met you, he will keep dating you. So you shouldn't worry about it, because a lot of girls end up like digging themselves a hole, being like, did I sleep too soon because this and that? No, because she talks about how like you were already in a box to begin with. So you're saying that it's a gamble and you're putting the control in a man's hand. I think that the reason why she even created this box theory is that so women don't stress out too much. Because we as women spiral and overthink everything. So I think she just created this box theory in a way, like, maybe, well, how do you know? Maybe that did factor, actually. Maybe after, like, in the book, Sherry talks about how when the girl sleeps too soon, let's say in the second or the third date, or like right away even, the guy first is happy because he's getting sex. But afterwards, he might start thinking, wait, how many guys does she sleep with that quickly as well? And I think that does have like an impact. And I think even one of Sherry's principles was talking about how a woman's head is clear before sex and a guy's isn't, and after sex a guy starts thinking clearly and a woman gets confused. Hence, do what you want with it, but in my opinion, I think that you should only do it once you have trust and that intimacy built and just like respect and emotions for each other.
100%. I agree.
Okay, do you want to like list out another principle that you liked?
I think this was my last one, actually, because we said 3. This was the last one. It was about, it was basically, it's not even a principle, but it basically says it's about self-control and how important it is to basically control your emotions, because essentially you have power over yourself that way. If you start getting emotional and being like, that's when you become the crazy girl that, you know, men like to talk about and whatever. But when you're in control and you're in control of your emotions, that's really powerful. And I completely agree, because I think this is something I've noted. I've seen it in my own life. When something bad happens and the logical thing is to, well, not the logical thing, but when most girls tend to go crazy and start being psychopaths, if you actually remain calm, disengage, basically limit contact, the guy will come running back to you, because having no contact with you, being cut off, is so much worse than you coming up to his house and screaming at him. And also, you keep your dignity intact, which is, again, what Sherry stresses is really important.
Yeah, I agree.
This is
yeah.
She says,
Sorry, yeah.
formula for success. Emotional self-control equals control over how you're treated and control over whether you are respected.
I think from this point that she talks about, like, emotional, men don't perceive emotions the same way women do. So, like, if a woman is always crying and always making a big fuss, and, like, they're not really processing it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
They don't hear it. And also, I like what she talked about nagging. Hence, if you want a man to change his way, either change the situation, like, make it easier for him to follow your, like, what you want him to do, or, she talks about limiting contact or becoming indifferent, giving space, like, potentially even walking away at some point for a certain period of time, or, like, maybe, like, yeah, basically she talks about how don't nag because men don't hear it and then you become their mother. Instead, step away and limit contact, and he will hear you loud and clear, which I do agree with as well.
Basically, guys, if you have the urge to be a psycho bitch, don't do it. Like, go home, like, punch a wall or something, but don't let him see you stress. Don't let him see you sweat. Make him think you're indifferent. It will literally send him crawling back to you, begging you to take him back.
Yeah, she talks about how usually it's not the woman who's exceptional that gets the man, it's the woman who doesn't appear to care too much.
And that's true. I mean, I think we've all seen
it. It is true. I mean, it's human nature, frankly. Like, people go to something that is not... okay, I was just trying to find the principle that I wanted to mention, but I guess I think it was one in the beginning, to round up the episode.
Just while you're still searching for it, I think something I'll say is that it's okay to make mistakes, especially I think if you're just starting to date, because it's human nature when you experience love or a really strong crush for the first time, you act irrationally and you come off maybe like a crazy person. And you have the urge to be a chill girl, and then you just end up looking crazy. But afterwards, you will learn. And the next time you meet somebody you like, you're going to be the coolest, chillest, genuinely chillest person who is probably not that chill, but you come off chill because you don't give a fuck.
Yeah, for sure. Don't be too hard on yourself. Even, like, any time spent or any experience had is a lesson that must have been happened to you in this lifetime for you to learn something, and then for the next relationship to be even better. Hence, that applies to everything, whether that's work, whether that's academics, a relationship. It's okay. We've all been there, and Asela and I can tell you that every girl has done something cringe or stupid or too nice that we will not repeat in the future again.
Yeah. And your person is out there, and then once the time is right, you'll meet him. Or her. Or whoever.
I agree. And also, but I also think that there are many people, but anyways, as in, like, I think there are a few loves of our lives. There's not just one. Anyways, I wanted to talk about this principle, and I guess it's a good roundup principle. It was one of the first said, but attraction principle number 8, the biggest variable between a bitch and a woman who is too nice is fear. The bitch shows that she's not afraid to be without him. And that's quite a good roundup, because even in the book, Sherry talks about how a woman needs to have some financial means to, if she wants to leave, she can. Even if her man is super wealthy and successful and she's driving a Mercedes, she can be very comfortable hopping into, what did you say, a Pinto, and driving away and living in her one-bedroom apartment from being in a mansion. As long as she's able to leave and support herself on her means, a man will always respect her more and not take her for granted. Because whenever somebody is completely financially dependent on another person, the one who's financially supporting them ends up losing respect for them over time, and the woman just loses that leverage of being like, I can leave anytime I want. Like, nothing is holding me here. I am here by choice. Hence, never be afraid to leave. If something is not suiting you or is weird, even though you might think, oh, but this guy is like this and he suits this criteria. No, there's so many fish in the sea. Don't worry, girl. Also, every woman should work and have some money under her in her pockets, because you never know how life might turn out. Frankly, people cheat, people get divorced, stuff happens, like families like go bankrupt. Who knows what's gonna happen to you? You can only rely on yourself in this life. Hence, obviously, the man, in my opinion, should be the main breadwinner and the main provider for the family. But as a woman, we should still have our own 2 feet to stand on.
Yeah. 100%, I agree. You need to be able to stand on your own no matter what, even if you're in the most loving relationship and it's amazing. Just have that, you never know what happens in life, like Johnny has said. And also, a good sign to know if your relationship is the one, or, really good for you, is I think as Sherry says, it should feel easy. It should feel like everything's just kind of, easy, it's flowing. Like, you're not miserable, you're not fighting for this relationship with everything you have. Like, that's not a good sign.
And also,
especially at the
when
beginning.
you hang out with them after you, when you hang out with them after you leave, you should feel relaxed and happy and not stressed out and anxious.
Yeah. Anyways, guys, so date, have fun, have some dignity. Actually, no, have a lot of dignity. Because, Sherry says that's most important. Respect yourself, love yourselves, and read this book. Honestly, I think this book should be taught in school curriculums. Like, please put this book into every curriculum in every school in the world.
Didn't you say that people wouldn't understand it? people would think, especially kids nowadays, would think that it's old-fashioned. Because kids nowadays, they're way too open-minded, I'm like, you guys need to chill out, No. But I feel like a lot of, girl kids, they, actively hate men, and they're, like, for any cause in the world, they go to march, So I have a feeling with this book in particular, they're gonna be like, what? But maybe, give this book to everybody in college, senior year. That'd be great.
Yeah, just so, you know what, we just need to get it in their minds so that they're aware, and then they can just read it later on when they're adults by themselves.
Yeah, I would say it's a good read. Also, it's a fast read. I read it in, 2 nights in the evenings. I think it took me a total of 3-4 hours.
And it's a fun read.
Yeah, it's a fun read. It's very easy to read. Hence, Asal and I recommend this book. We decided that we're going to review a different book every month. So if anybody has any suggestions for a book that might be fun to review, whether it's something spiritual, emotional, relationship-based, social, whatever it may be, we are open to suggestions. And we hope you guys enjoyed our book review.
/ relationship episode.
Yeah, exactly. I guess this episode is as close as we will get to disclosing all our relationship details or our past. So guys, enjoy it immensely.
Savor it.
We hope you guys have a good week, and we hope you guys enjoyed this episode.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, guys.